to sharing this presentation with you all. We're going to get started here in a minute. All right, so we are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony DiMarino. I'm a registered dietitian and personal trainer from Cleveland. Very glad to have you on here today. Very excited. We're going to talk about being healthy for the holidays. So a little about me. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm from Cleveland. I grew up in Ohio, went to Ohio State. I currently work at the Cleveland Clinic as a dietitian and definitely do some things on the side to share and engage about healthy eating and healthy habits over time. What you can expect today is some facts about what happens during the holidays, some factors why we may overeat or gain weight, and give you some strategies that are very practical and helpful in order to improve your health and maybe limit any kind of weight gain. And the service we're using will not allow me to see any kind of comments or questions during the presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. I won't be able to see them, but we'll definitely take a look after the presentation. There's be some time for some Q&A. We'll make sure questions are answered. I'm very happy to have you all on here and looking forward to engaging this with you as well. So I want you to think for a moment, how much do you think over time people gain weight during the holidays? Is it 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds? What do you think? In reality, the research shows most people gain an average of 1 pound each year. Doesn't sound like a lot, right? Doesn't sound like too much, very significant. But the problem lies in that most people keep that weight on. So if you think year over year, you gain a pound here, you gain a pound there. 10 years go by, you're 10, 15 pounds overweight than you used to be. Now, the good news is if people stick to healthy strategies, if they're eating in moderation, they can be successful. They can lose the weight. They can keep it off. But why do people gain weight in the first place? We know the holidays are busy, but why is there such a big issue with weight gain during the holiday season? There's several, in fact. One part is that we like to have a good time. During the holidays, there may be more alcohol going around, and we tend to have the more high-calorie beverages, maybe mixed drinks, spritzers, wine, liquor, maybe those heavier beers, and those calories can really add up. Throughout this time period, there's pressure to eat unhealthy. Maybe it's social pressure, maybe you're at a party and that's all there is available. So there's really that kind of social stigma that you're expected to eat unhealthily for that time frame. Now, during these parties, there might be multiple courses at a meal. You may get there and there's already appetizers out on the table. Maybe there's a full dinner throughout the day, maybe some side salads or soups, and of course the dessert. We all know the dessert. Maybe you're at a party, there's multiple meals in that time frame as well. The difficult part with the holiday season is that there are large portions. Maybe we're not being as judicious with our portion control, and it can really add up very quickly. Now, there's too many options. We look at the buffet table, and there's so many things available to us. Maybe sometimes we're not very good about making choices and taking limits to what we're putting on our plate. In addition to that, a lot of these options tend to be higher in calorie. You think about those sweets and desserts. You think about cheeses and cheese spreads. Maybe some of the options are heavier in butter or cream or extra cheeses, cream sauces, gravies. A lot of the options we eat tend to be heavier. Throughout this time frame, the holiday season, sweets are in abundance. Everyone's bringing desserts, whether it's to work, to school, to home at the parties, and sometimes bring home leftovers. It can really add up over time. We may be distracted. So throughout the holiday parties or this time slot, we may be not paying attention to how much we eat, whether it's during a meal. We're spending time with family and friends, and there's appetizers out there. People are coming around with different trays of foods to try out. Maybe we're not paying attention to our hunger and satisfaction cues as well. Throughout this time period, the holiday season, it can go from before Thanksgiving to the new year. And we know very, very much so that there's multiple parties on the holiday, at work, at school, with family, with friends. It can really, really get out of control very quickly. Maybe we're not eating at home as much. Maybe we're going out to eat. Maybe we're going to different households that cook differently or order in more often. Um, we just had at work today. We had a pizza for two birthdays, so it can really, really add up with those meals that aren't cooked from home. Now, one thing that I learned about and found out about is this battle mindset, where there's this pressure to eat unhealthfully, and we want to eat well, and there's this disconnect in our mind, and maybe we're stressed out about it, and it really puts a stress and anxiety in our brain as well. And then again, in addition to that is the stress. We have much more to do. We have to buy gifts. We have to prepare more food. We have to entertain guests. We have to wrap those gifts. I'm working on Christmas cards right now. There's definitely more stress in this holiday season than the normal day to day. Now let's talk about some reasons why we may overeat. You've probably heard these before. We make certain excuses, and we give ourselves permission to not pay attention to what we're doing as much. There's the excuse, though. How can I resist? There's all this wonderful food around, and I'm not going to say no to anything. Some people may say, "Hey, you know what? A holiday season only comes around once a year, and I'm going to live it to the fullest. I don't care what's going to happen about the repercussions. I'm just going to enjoy this time of the year." Some people feel the pressure that they should provide the sweets. They want to be popular at the party. They want to have a hit dish. So they want to try to provide something sweet for their friends and family. Some people consider, hey, I'm not going to have much fun during the holidays without the food. So I have to focus on the meal. I have to focus on the foods because that's the only way I'm ever going to enjoy this holiday. And some people have this mindset, you know what? I may not be eating as well today. I'm gonna, but I'm gonna start back tomorrow. There's always tomorrow where I'm gonna start back new and really make these changes. Now let's talk about some solutions here. I gave you some ideas of some excuses we make, but I'm not gonna leave you hanging and not give you any solutions for these excuses. Now, one strategy here, instead of saying I can't resist anything, is really just be mindful, be present, try and make good choices, try and make wise decisions where you really are eating in moderation. Now, with the excuse that it's only once a year, yes, keep it to once a year. If you're going to enjoy Thanksgiving, enjoy it to that day, right? We can't allow leftovers or multiple meals over a week's time really uh, affect us. Now, if you feel like you feel pressure to provide treats or something sweet, really try and get creative. There's plenty of ways to make fruits and vegetables fun. Maybe trying a different recipe, doing different substitutions with the ingredients you're using, trying to make it as healthfully and low calorie as possible. Now, some people might say, "Hey, I'm not going to have much fun without really indulging in any of these high calorie meals." But in reality, there's plenty of things you could do that will be fun and memorable for your family. It could be playing games. We play cards at our family gatherings all the time. It could be watching a Christmas movie, maybe doing a white elephant gift exchange, getting outside and doing something active. So really look for ways to make memories, to have fun without indulging in all these high calorie foods all the time. Now, if you have the excuse, you know what, I'm going to start back tomorrow. I don't care about what happens today. That really is kind of going to hurt your performance. And it's going to hurt your decisions over time because we're going to keep procrastinating to the next day. So really try and focus on being mindful, being present moment, try and make good decisions, and eat in that moderation throughout the day. Now, the other piece of the puzzle about nutrition and fitness and wellness is our exercise. And again, there's some excuses that we tend to make over and over and over during the holiday season. Now, some of these are going to be relevant to people who maybe live in the Northeast or that have daylight savings time going on, but we're in winter, right? So it's going to be cold outside. Sometimes we really give ourselves the slip or the permission to not exercise because it is so cold. Some people may say, you know what, I'm not going to exercise. It's getting dark at 5 o'clock. I get home from work, it's dark out. I'm not going to exercise. Some people may say, you know what, I'm not going to exercise right now. I have company. I have to entertain and take care of my guests. It's not a priority for me right now. And lastly, people may say, you know what, I have so much going on and maybe I'm stressed. Maybe I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. I don't want to work out right now. But again, I'm going to give you some solutions, some practical tips to kind of rethink these excuses. If you're someone who likes to work out outside and it is cold where you live, just find layers. Find those performance sports gear that are breathable but also still allow you to stay warm. Layers with Under Armour and Adidas and Nike brands. There's plenty of options for you to get layers and still enjoy outdoor workouts. Now, if you're someone who likes to work outside, but it gets dark, obviously be safe. Maybe get some gear that helps reflect light if you're in a busy area, or find ways to work out indoors. If you're near a gym, or if you have a home gym, it could be even a smart TV with YouTube. You could do YouTube exercises. So really try and find a way to keep exercise as part of your day. Now, if you have people over, people from out of town, friends, family, kids, aunts and uncles, doesn't matter. Maybe try and involve your family in exercise throughout the day, especially Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. If it's nice out, maybe take a walk after a meal. Maybe doing a turkey bowl or some kind of sport outside if it's nice, or doing some exercise indoors if you have enough room. And what I've noticed is there's plenty of times that I have not wanted to work out. I'm leaving work. I'm very tired. I'm grumpy. And the last place I want to be is the gym. But I'll tell you what, every single time I've forced myself to walk into that gym within 5 minutes of getting started, it improved my mood. And seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. Many people get depressed or moody during the cold months, but exercise can be a very good cure for that because it really improves our mood over time. Let's talk about portion control. This is going to be one piece that's going to be very important to keep you healthy and well throughout the holiday season. A couple strategies here. If there's certain foods you really like more than others, stick to those, right? At these parties, you're going to have multiple choices for meats and starches and desserts, but there's certain foods that you just love during the holidays. I want you to enjoy those. Really try and focus on vegetables. The vegetables are great because there's plenty of vitamins, nutrients, water, fiber that keeps us feel satisfied. And you can eat plenty of these without a very high calorie burden. So focusing on those fresh and cooked vegetables, salads, soups that are piled high with vegetables, those are all great options. Now, if you're someone who does eat meat like me, animal meat, really trying to choose the options that are lower in the fat. We call lean meats. That's more chicken, that's more turkey, fish, lean cuts of ham or beef, but really trying to focus on the ones to be lower in fat, most likely grilled or roasted or baked. Now, if you're someone who likes to go back for seconds, I really encourage you to try and stick to one plate. Most of the time we eat so fast that we don't recognize that we're satisfied and we go back and overeat. And later on, we're kind of paying for it and we're feeling tired and groggy, and it can really add up to that calorie count over time too. And finally, when you're choosing starches, really trying to choose the low-fat ones. Again, I mentioned those starches made with butter or creams. You think about like mashed potatoes or those creamy, cheesy potatoes. Some good options would be anything that's like a pasta, maybe a little bit of red sauce. Because we're Italian, we do that. Anything that's maybe like a baked or sweet potato, those are all great options as well. Let's talk about drinking, right? Because we have to drink while we eat, right? We got to stay hydrated. And there, like I said, there's a higher abundance of alcohol used throughout the holidays. And I want you to stay hydrated. I want you to try and limit the amount of calories you get from your drinks. First of all, water, number one. really trying to focus on water. Having a water bottle available, maybe with filling up glasses. This helps because it keeps us satisfied, takes up volume so we don't overeat throughout the day. If you're not a big fan of water, you could always do something carbonated like these water spritzers with a little bit of fresh fruit and sparkling water, maybe a little bit of a juice to give you some flavor. But it's nice, it's festive, it's refreshing, it's fun. Two other options that tend to be lower in calorie as long as you're not adding a bunch of sugar and creams in them are coffee and tea. Obviously, be careful if you're sensitive to caffeine, but those are great options. They're great during the cold days, and they're not going to have a lot of calories to them as well. Now, if you are going to drink alcohol, because I'm not going to tell anyone not to drink alcohol during a party or a celebration, but really be smart. Set your limits, stick to them. Usually, the USDA recommends one drink per women for women, 1 to 2 for men. Never been the biggest fan for that because I feel bad for you ladies, but really trying to just be smart using common sense. If you're going to drink alcohol, there's a couple different drinks I would recommend. Wine, especially red wine, there's some health benefits to that. It's usually not the higher in calorie drink option. So really, again, be cognizant of how much you're using. It's about 5 ounces per drink. And drink it mindfully. Don't try and throw it down real quickly. Same thing with vodka. Vodka is actually the most pure of all the spirits. There's not a lot added calories to it. There's about 70 calories per shot or serving. But so you can mix that with some seltzer water, club soda, tonic water, throw in a lime there. It's still festive. It still tastes great. It's refreshing, but it doesn't have too many heavy calories to it. One thing that's be very important, I work with my clients all the time on this, and more often than not, when I ask people, well, how fast do you eat? They're like, man, I am a fast eater. I rush through my meals. And my follow-up question is, okay, how do you feel after that meal? And they always tell me they're like, oh my God, like I'm full, I'm stuffed, I'm sluggish, right? One thing we work on a lot is eating mindfully. There's a couple things you can do to really slow down, to pay attention to how you're feeling, and to make good decisions at the mealtime. First thing is really check in with your hunger. Ask yourself, how hungry am I? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like not hungry at all, 10 being starving where you could chew off your leg. Really check in, how hungry am I? And during that meal, am I starting to get full yet? Am I still hungry? Really check in with your body, see how you're feeling. Really make sure that you're participating in the discussion. If you got family and friends over, really engaging in that discussion, it's going to help set the pace. It's going to help slow you down and take all the focus off smashing food very quickly. Really trying limiting distractions. We are in this connected world, in this universe. I have my cell phone right here. It's on do not disturb, it's silence, but more often than not, we have a screen in front of us, a phone, an iPad, a computer, a TV screen. Really trying to limit anything that's going to distract you from engaging in that meal in front of you. One way to really eat mindful and slow down is to have a beverage with you, preferably your water. Take sips in between bites. That's going to really help slow down, help you identify when you're starting to feel satisfied as well. And lastly, this is a time to celebrate. It's a time to cherish and appreciate what we have in front of us. Really trying to savor the moment. I feel like every single holiday, I have a moment where I just look up and just look around and so grateful for the people in my life. The fact that we all are able to get together safely, of course, in this time of COVID, but just be grateful for everything we have and everything we're fortunate that we have. Now, one thing you're going to have and experience are these cravings for sweets. Maybe we're more stressed and we have that overabundance and option of sweets throughout the holiday season, right? There's some things that you can really do to help limit the impact and limit the amount you have of these sweets. First and foremost, really focus on the veggies. If there's a vegetable tray during the appetizers, eat that. Eat your salad or your cooked vegetable at dinner. Again, vegetables are great because they're high in vitamins and minerals and nutrients, but also have that fiber that keep us satisfied and don't have a lot of calories to them. You can eat a lot of vegetables to your heart's content and not gain a pound, which is fantastic. One thing I talk about all the time is we are visual creatures, and we're going to consume whatever we see in front of us. So really make an effort to try and limit how much of the sweets you see. If there's a certain room or table where all the desserts are, obviously avoid that area. If you have prepared a dessert for your family and your friends, and you don't want to dip into it too early or take leftovers home, really put it somewhere you're not going to see it up until the party. If you take leftovers home, put it in an inconvenient spot so you're not thinking about it and you're not overdoing it. One strategy that's be very important is if you are going over someone's house and they offer you leftovers, really just say, you know what, kindly, thank you, but no thank you. That's one easy way to keep it to the holiday and not continue overeating several days after the actual celebration. Obviously make good choices. If you're gonna have a dessert, if a sweet, I'm a sucker for like anything Oreo or cookie or cream, and I really try and choose that over every single thing on the spread. Right? You don't have to sample every single dish. Maybe choose one or two that are your favorites and stick to those. Again, when you're going up to the dessert table, if you so choose, really try and using those little small appetizer plates and not the big dinner plates, because that's going to limit the space you can fill up on that plate as well. And lastly, one way to really reduce any sweet cravings is to fill up on your liquid. Especially if you're drinking water, carbonated water, coffee, or tea. Again, our stomach is just a big container, and if we fill that container up with liquid, we're going to be less inclined to add more volume to that stomach so that we don't get overfull. And lastly, to distract yourself, maybe do something that's outdoors. You play a game with your family. Get out there moving. Wash the dishes. Doing anything that helps distract you from that dessert table is helpful too. Now, here's some ideas that you can eat throughout the day in these celebrations and bring as well that could definitely be more guilt-free, so to say. Bruschetta, this is a great appetizer. It's an Italian dish. You basically get some hard and crusty bread, um, ma- slice up some tomatoes, a little bit of herbs and spices. It's a great, refreshing, low-calorie option as well. Baked apples, they're sweet. You can throw some cinnamon on there. They're going to be lower in calorie, but also have some good health benefits too. Now, sweet potatoes have very unique benefits, and they're more festive than just the white potato. Excuse me. There's some vitamin A in there, some fiber. Definitely keep the skin on and reduce any of the butter or the marshmallow or anything like that as well. Lean ham. If you get a low fat ham and have a small portion of it, there's going to be a lot of good protein, a lot of good vitamins and minerals without all the added fat as well. One low calorie dessert is that angel food cake. It's light, it's very low in calories, so that's something you can indulge in without much guilt as well. Obviously, anything that's made with plenty of vegetables, you're not going to feel bad about eating. Doing some tossed salad, maybe a homemade soup that's low in the cream and the other toppings and ingredients as well. And lastly, some vegetables. Again, doing that veggie tray, having some cooked veggies, there's going to be low in calories as well, and you're not going to feel bad about eating those. Here's my top tips for a healthy holiday season. Number one, if you are someone who's trying to make good decisions, you feel like your family is going to give you a hard time, excuse me, practice the phrase "I'm in training." Right, we can be in training for anything. Right, we can be in training to run a race, maybe going to school, trying to learn a new skill. But anytime someone says we're in training, no one's going to give you a hard time about that. And then if people are really going to continue to push you, really just practice saying no and standing your ground. If you can say, hey, you know what, I thank you, but no thank you. I'm good. If people care about you, they're going to respect you. If you do end up with a lot of sweets or treats, maybe in your stocking or after a party, maybe you find a way to donate them to a food shelter or a church in your area, or give them to your kids. Right, kids love treats. Definitely, if there's plenty of options and you feel the temptation to sample everything, just pass on the ones that aren't your favorites. You don't have to eat every single thing on that buffet. Definitely take time to spend with others, right? This is a time to celebrate, to cherish, to really take time to slow down and to appreciate the time with the people around us. There's something that's called stealth exercise, really trying to fit in and squeeze exercise into your day. Whether it's if you need to clean, to have people over, get on some music, get your headphones in, do some dancing, move your body a little bit. If you need to do snow removal outside, really again plugging in that music, get that shovel as opposed to the snow plow, to the snow blower. Really trying to move your body throughout the day, and it adds up too. Sleep is important. Sleep is very important. People don't realize how impactful sleep is to our health. So really prioritize getting a quality sleep, have some good sleep hygiene. It's going to help you throughout this holiday season. Keep the holiday to one day. What happens is that we're celebrating all month long, and that 4 to 6 weeks really catches up to us over time. And we're struggling on January 1st to fit into our genes. So really be careful to and cognizant of keeping it to one day. Lastly, there's going to be plenty of invitations, work, school, friends, family, different get-togethers. I'm just amazed of how many Christmas-themed parties and bars and bar crawls going on in Cleveland right now. Be okay with saying no. You don't have to go to everything. And lastly, take time to relax. My mom is notorious for this. She is go, go, go all the time. I tell her to slow down, take a minute or two, relax, do something you enjoy. Self-care is going to be very, very important at this time of the year. And so I thank you for listening in and joining me today. This has been great. I've enjoyed every minute of this. Some things to really be aware of, and to close this is, the holiday season is a time to celebrate. It's a time to get together with your loved ones and really cherish the time. But there's many factors that can influence our health and wellness, right? It's important to be aware of those and to really pay attention to what's going on around us. And the more that you plan, the more you have a strategy, you'll be more successful, and you may prevent any kind of weight gain or unhealthy behaviors over the holiday. Let me stop sharing here, and I'll see if there's any kind of questions. All right, so I'll open up some questions. We got some time here. Feel free to put in the chat, and I can see the chat here, so I can see what's going on as well. Hi, I see a question. How can I lose fat if I don't have time to work out? Thank you for, that's a great question. And that's the goal, right? Is to try and burn fat, right? That's where our extra pounds are stored, is our fat stores. And I'll tell you what, the way to lose weight is a calorie deficit. That means you are burning more calories than you're taking in. And food is number one, right? You can never outwork a bad diet. So you want to make sure that you're eating healthy, low calorie foods over time. The problem is, I wouldn't say the problem, but the fact of the matter is that the more you exercise, the better, right? And yes, we have busy lives. For example, I work full time. I go to school as a MBA student. I have a small business. I always set aside time to work out, even if it's something you could fit in throughout your day, 10 minutes at a time, taking the stairs throughout at work, parking further away from the building, really trying to sneak in that exercise. It adds up over time as well. So thank you for that question. There's a question, how can I stick to my plan over the weekend or the holiday season? And that's a great question. And I hope that this presentation has really helped with that. But really staying focused on what you want, expressing that, communicating out with other people, and allowing people to keep you accountable. Bring your support system into this and say, you know what, hey, this is gonna be hard, and I really want to stick to this. I need your help. I need your support. So if you see me doing something I probably shouldn't, that's not part of my plan. Really call me out on it. But at the same time, enjoy the holiday. Savor it. Really allow yourself some of those luxuries or some of those things that you enjoy, because it's what's gonna make the holiday memorable for you too. One day is not going to make or break a diet. It's all about consistency over time too. So there's a question: what healthy eating habits can I start doing today to lose weight? I can start doing slowly to be consistent, and that's a great question. What I always recommend with my clients is to do an inventory, really reflect on what your habits are like. First, identify what you're doing well. If you're someone who drinks plenty of water, if you're good about exercising, if you're good about eating your vegetables, really look for those areas of opportunity. Maybe you're someone who tends to drink a lot of pop or soda. If you're someone who snacks too much, really identify where there's areas of opportunity to make changes, and then come up with different strategies for that. So if you're someone who snacks, who eats popcorn, too much popcorn, too much potato chips, pretzels, candies in between meals, maybe make a change where you're doing a piece of fruit or a protein bar in place of that. So there's small incremental changes. If you want more specific advice, get with a dietitian. We'll be able to meet you one on one, meet you where you are, and give you some great advice as well. That's a good question. Will my weight loss program be ruined over one day of overeating? And the short of the answer is no. Uh, Nutrition, health, and wellness is not black and white. It's not one or the other. There's a spectrum there, right? But one day of overeating is just one day, right? What happens is if we overeat consistently over time, that's why we gain weight. So don't feel bad if you maybe overdo it on the holiday. I want you to enjoy the time, but really try and be judicious and make good decisions, and you'll be golden. And that's all I have right now. But obviously, the Q&A is open. Please feel free to um, put a question in the comment box. We're still here for a little bit. So we got a question here. What are some good tips on losing belly fat? Unfortunately, that's where we most of us gain weight is within our midsection. Our body does that because that's where all our important organs are. It wants to protect our organs. And unfortunately, with the way our bodies are set up, you can't really spot check. But we usually tend to lose fat from the top down, for some more shoulders to our midsection. Really being consistent with eating well, with exercising, doing your weightlifting. That's going to burn calories very much so as well. There's a question here. Is losing fat while gaining muscle possible? If so, how? That's a very good question. And it is possible. It's just very difficult. What people have to do is be in a slight calorie excess. So basically, meaning that you are eating more than your body needs, but that excess is coming from high quality foods. It's high protein, plenty of protein, very low fats, and then you are lifting very heavy. You have to be lifting 5 to 6 days a week, being consistent, drinking plenty of water. You have to be very judicious and very tight with how you're doing your nutrition as well. Do weight loss supplements help you lose weight? It's a very tough question to answer, because I'm not sure which supplements you're referring to. A lot of the stuff, I'll tell you what, is going to just give you expensive pee, basically. A lot of those weight loss supplements are gibberish. There's not a lot of research to them. You're best off meeting with your physician, asking what you can take, but also see if you can meet with a medical doctor. There are medications out there that you can take safely with medical supervision that definitely bring quality results over time as well. I have problems with food from hiding eating to binge eating prior diets. Any advice? Yes. If you feel like you have trouble with disordered eating, hiding, binging, that's definitely something that's very serious and should be taken with serious intent. I would recommend you reach out to your physician and let them know what's going on. They will get you the help you need. It could be meeting with someone who is disordered eating specialist, working with someone who's a mental health provider. They're going to help you give you strategies in order that you prevent that kind of overeating habits as well. So someone asked, I'm exercising moderately and dieting every day, but I'm not losing weight. Have you ever had clients with the same situations? And yes, there's plenty of people who are being very consistent. They're exercising well, but there's many factors that influence our weight. There is our genetics. There is our fluid, so our hydration status. It could be a matter of self care with sleep and stress. If there's someone who's doing what they need to do, but they're still not getting the results they want, really try and meet with a dietitian, and they will give you a full assessment. They will meet with you, interview you, get an idea of what your habits are like, and really give you their professional opinion of what you can do. And that could help you get over a plateau and continue to lose weight too. So someone asks, they're picky. They're a picky eater. So many things I know are healthy are detested by my taste buds. It makes it hard. Um, Absolutely. So there are some people who just they're not the biggest fans of the healthy foods, and part of it's developmental. They have certain kind of taste buds. One thing you could really do is exposure therapy. So giving yourself an opportunity to try those healthy foods in a small bites in times, so that maybe your body will start to recognize that it's good for you and start to like it more. I sometimes tell people, I'm like, hey, look at this. We're adults here, and as an adult, we have to do things that we don't like to do. Right? I don't like to clean the dishes. I don't like to clean my apartment. Right? I don't like to do laundry. But being a responsible adult, that's just part of life. But I understand that there's some pickiness there. There's plenty of recipes out online that you can integrate these healthy foods into recipes. Say, for example, if you like pasta and noodles with red sauce, chunking down carrots, onions, peppers, tomatoes, throwing it in your sauce, they're going to take on the taste in that sauce and they're going to be hidden in that sauce, but you're still going to reap the health benefits. So really look for ways to kind of sneak in those different ingredients as well. Someone asks, Jonathan, can I gain muscle while at a maintenance? Um, Basically, gaining muscle, but not gaining weight. The funny thing is that weight or muscle weighs more than fat. And depending on your body composition, if you have fat to lose, then yeah, maybe you might be able to build muscle at the same time burning fat. Um, And what's interesting is that the people who have more muscle over time tend to be lower because their muscle is consistently burning calories over the day, and they just tend to have that negative calorie deficit. But the fact of the matter is, you could still gain weight and be healthy because it is a lean mass. So gaining weight's not the enemy here; it's gaining fat mass. So really be diligent about maybe trying to measure your body mass or your lean mass versus fat mass. Look at ways where maybe your inches are coming down, you're feeling leaner, you're feeling toned. Those are all good ways to measure it as well. So there's a question here. Do you recommend drinking vodka, rum, maybe over beer? So the difference between you say like a spirit and a beer is that a spirit is pure alcohol, maybe a little bit of carb, but beer is more carb than alcohol. So the beer is actually going to be higher in calories. But again, usually keeping it to a bare minimum. Two drinks is usually a good place to be. But you know your limits. Basically you have to live with the decisions you make. So be smart, use common sense. Really trying to keep the mixers light without a lot of calories. So soda water, tonic water, um, decaf tea, something like that. If you want to do like a vodka with a little bit of unsweetened tea, that's totally fine. Just be aware of how many calories are in those servings of drinks as well. Here's a good question. How can I lose weight if I don't like counting calories? For someone, I only recommend counting calories only if someone is very detail oriented. If there's someone who likes lists, if they like to track things, that's the person I want tracking calories. What I like to train people on is the behaviors and the ways to think about eating and strategies so that it's not something you're thinking about all day. I talk about stress management, really trying to manage stress without eating too much, trying to make sure you're sleeping well, making sure you're meal planning and having a balanced plate, focusing on plenty of vegetables and fruits with lean meats. Those are all strategies that don't have counting calories as part of the mainstay that are still going to help you lose the weight as well. So here's a question from Stephanie. I really get hungry at night. Do you have any ideas on what to add or change to be less hungry at dinner time? Um, if you're hungry at dinner, that's not a bad thing. We're supposed to be hungry in that evening time frame, but it's later in the night. Really take a look at how much you're eating. I've noticed this with me. I get very hungry later in the evening when I don't have a starch at dinner time. I'm just trying to make a shift where I'm having a little starch at dinner. And before bedtime, I'm usually having a light snack because I am a younger guy. I'm someone who is active, so I have a higher calorie need. And the only way I'm going to do that is meet my calories is to actually have a snack in the evening. Now, having a snack after dinner or having a heavier dinner is not a bad thing as long as it fits within your calorie goal. So really be diligent in how much food you're eating throughout the day. Pay attention to your body. If you're really hungry, but you feel like you're at your calorie limits, focus on that produce. Focus on fruits and vegetables because those are going to be more nutritiously dense. They're going to make you feel satisfied. At the same time, it's going to help reduce that calorie as well. So right now that's all the questions I have, but I'm obviously going to keep this open for anybody who has other questions as well. I think this question had gotten asked, but maybe this viewer wasn't around. Is losing fat while gaining muscle possible? If so, how? And yes, gaining muscle while burning fat is possible. It's very difficult. I usually recommend doing one and then the other. Um, but if you want to do both at the same time, you got to be very diligent. You got to be very detail oriented. It's going to take consistency. It's lifting heavy weights almost every day of the week, making sure you take your time to rest on those days you're not working out. You have to actually have a calorie excess where you're eating more than your body needs, but you have to provide your body with the right building blocks. Um, it's going to be heavy in protein because that's what our muscles need. Um, Heavy in the complex carbs, the breads, rices, pastas, and very light in the fats. That's going to be the oils and the butters, nuts, butters. And if you want that plan to build muscle, lose fat at the same time, really look to get in touch with a dietitian. They'll be able to put together a plan for you. Um, as you all know, this is put on by Kounsel. You can find me on Kounsel. You can message me. We can work together in order to construct a plan for you to try and improve your health and wellness too. I'm trying to understand what this question is asking. My body became loose after weight loss. Is this normal? I'm not sure what you mean by loose. If you feel like your skin is loose, that could be possible. I mean, if you're losing a bunch of weight and you still kind of loose skin, um, definitely something. If you're concerned, it doesn't hurt to have a doctor check, and you could definitely have to get your questions answered. So there's a question: how can I lose weight when eating is the only thing that makes me happy? I'm deeply unhappy with a lot of things going on right now. It's very valid concern. Sometimes there's a lot of stressors, issues, challenges going on in our lives, and some people find that food is their escape. It's their relief valve. And if that's the case, I would highly recommend that you really try and meet with mental health providers, because there's probably a lot of deeper things going on there, and they're going to help you identify what the stressors and challenges are, help you think through things, help you identify better ways to cope, and really practice. It's a process, right? It's not going to be overnight, but really try and identify other ways that maybe you can find joy or things that make you happy. Exercise is a great way to improve your mood, but I really recommend you get in touch with a mental health provider. Counsel is great with that because they have plenty of mental health providers that you can connect with over the phone. So it's virtual, but really that'd be the first step, I would say, as well too. So there's a question here. I want to lose weight, but I don't know where to start. It's a very good question, right? There's a lot of different information out there, completing information you see on social media, on Facebook, on Google. You seriously, you Google how to lose weight and you get 16 different ways to do it. The one thing that does not get utilized enough is asking your doctor. Asking your doctor for a referral to see a dietitian. If you're someone who you just want to go straight to the dietitian, look for someone local in your area. Look for us dietitians on the Kounsel app. But really, we'll be able to help dissect what your habits are and give you practical strategies that you could start right away. Because I meet people where they're at in their life and identify what their current habits are. And I always talk about, okay, here's what you're doing well. Don't touch that. Keep that, right? Keep what you're doing well. Let's look at areas of opportunity for change where maybe there's some struggle, and we'll make some small tweaks over time, and you're going to see some results as well. And mentioning small practical steps over time. Not sure if this has been mentioned or known, but I have actually written a book about this. So I'm going to put the link to that book in the chat here. I think I can put it in the comments, but I can also send it to our moderator here. You might be able to put it in the comments section. But if you want to learn about that book and you can't get the link here, it's called Eat, Move, Improve by Anthony DiMarino. If you Google it or go to it's a website called BookBaby, you can take a look at it and find it there as well. Looks like the comments, the link is in the comments now. That's a good question. Are there any books anyone suggest? There's a dietitian that I know that is very good about mindset, about food and nutrition, about her experience with weight and eating disorders. I'm going to type her name in here so we can share that. Her name is Melanie Jatzek. But really, if you're looking for information about nutrition, health, wellness, make sure you do your due diligence in finding someone who is a expert. That's going to be someone who's a dietitian, a registered dietitian, RD, LD, someone who did an internship, someone who studied it at university, or they are able to cite some scientific evidence. That's great as well. But making sure that you are looking at the credible sources as well. So we're caught up here on the questions that are coming through the chat. If there's any other questions, please feel free. We still have some time here as well. I have difficulties remaining calorie deficient. That's a good question. I mean, the hardest part with nutrition is consistency, and without knowing a lot of your background or situation, really take a look at areas where there may be gaps, where there is spots where you're having excess calories. It could be after work and you're rushing home and you feel stressed and you need a snack. Are you choosing a candy bar from the gas station or are you choosing a healthy snack? Really identify where there's leaks in that day that is inhibiting your consistency and looking for ways to change that behavior. Again, working with a dietitian, find us on Kounsel. We'll be able to help you dissect your day um, and really find ways and strategies to help create that consistency. Other ways is tracking with an app. It's going to help you have a running number of how much you're eating throughout the day, how much you have left. It's actually another great visual way to limit and stay accountable with what you're eating, and also involve those people closest to you, your safe people who are going to support you. Let them know, like, hey, I'm having trouble staying consistent at lunchtime, or weekends are terrible for me. Can you just help me be consistent? Encourage me, support me, be there for me. That's going to be very helpful as well. A lot of great questions, people. Thank you for sharing. If you see the comments, my profile is on there, so send me a message. I'll keep an eye out for anybody who sends me messages, and we can connect one on one to discuss your specific situation as well. How do I resist cravings? That's a very good question. What I always tell people is to reflect, really question that craving. Where is this craving coming from? Am I bored? Am I hungry because I missed a meal? Am I stressed? Am I anxious? Really identify where that craving is coming from and try and satisfy that need. Say you're someone who you're in the evening, you're watching TV and you're craving something and you question it, and maybe it's just because you're bored. Maybe your mind needs something to do. So look for ways to engage your mind in that situation, that circumstance. But sometimes you may have a craving for something, and it's an honest craving because your body wants that food, because food does bring us pleasure. So really honoring that craving is going to help you over time, because you're going to be able to revert to or go back to those healthy habits, so that you're not craving that food over and over and over, because we don't honor those cravings, we tend to binge later on. Very good question. So we're still open for questions here if anyone has anything else they want to ask or know about. All right, so there's a question: can I eat unhealthy food to reach my calorie goal? They gave me some information. My goal is to burn fat. Now, I'm a big believer in you get out what you put in, right? And there's a saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you're choosing low calorie, I'm sorry, nutritionally empty foods that are very high calorie, high fat, high sugar, that aren't giving you the nutrients you need, you're going to be playing a losing game. It's going to take a lot of catch up. It's going to be very difficult. Um, and it's a hard truth to swallow, a hard pill to swallow, that it's important to really choose those healthy foods. Like I said earlier, sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do just because we're adults. We have to really accept that truth and reality and move on with it. But if you want specific um, caloric macronutrient plan for you, feel free to reach out to a dietitian, me or anybody else on Kounsel, and we'll be able to create that and help you identify ways that you could build healthy habits over time. Now, here's a good question: can I eat anything as I want as long as I stay within a calorie deficit? I mean, in theory, you can, but the problem is if we eat a lot of nutritionally empty foods that don't give us the vitamins and minerals we want, your body's always going to be hungry. Your body's going to crave those foods that are going to give you those nutrients. Plus, if we eat foods that are high in sugar, that are high in fats, that can cause other problems. Okay, it can cause you to have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, put you at risk for cancer. So if you eat unhealthfully but are at a healthy weight, you could still develop chronic illness and problems down the road as well, which is something we don't want, of course. Okay, so we got a couple more minutes. If anyone still has any other random questions, uh, do fad diets really work? I've heard good and bad things about keto, fasting, and so on. Right? Um, I always say trends end. Right? So these fads, they come in and out of favor because they work for the short term. They're very hot and sexy. There's some controversy to them, but in reality, they may create short-term results. But in the long term, when you revert back to the way you're eating, you're going to regain that weight. The way to lose weight over time, the problem is we are a generation in a culture of quick results. We want something that is going to be quick. Um, the what's the word? Basically, we all want something to be fast, right? We get overnight delivery, we get food delivered to our home. We have credit card purchases that are very quick. The problem is it doesn't work for health and wellness, right? And these fad diets promise quick weight loss, and it just doesn't work like that. So we're really trying to be judicious and make good quality decisions over time. Learn those healthy skills is going to help you in the long run as well. Again, if you have questions after this, feel free to find me on Counsel or find me online. Reach out to me, and I'd be happy to connect with you as well. Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. I appreciate all of you. Good luck. Have a happy holiday season. Happy New Year. Again, find me elsewhere online. Take a look at my book. I would be very happy to speak with you off here and continue the conversation. Okay. Thank you all. Have a great night. Bye bye.